G'day, I'm Alice Dempster. You might not know, but Squiz Kids is part of a bigger news offer. So while Squiz Kids is great for the little people in your life, if you want an adult fix of news every day, just search for Squiz Today in your podcast app. 6 a.m. every weekday. In 10 minutes, we'll get you across the news.
Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Combermary people.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, May 2. In Squiz Kids Today, Volcano erupts and 12,000 evacuated. Zebras on the run in Seattle. Big weekend of AFL derbies and the fake Scottish Railway. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
It's a rumbly old place, this planet of ours. If you've ever done science at school, you might have seen one of those diagrams of planet Earth, showing how, beneath the surface and at the planet's very centre, is a staggeringly hot inner core, from which, occasionally, molten rock and lava and gases spew up onto the surface via volcanoes. Now, this is what happened in Indonesia 2 days ago, where a famous volcano there erupted spectacularly, forcing the evacuation of some 12,000 locals. Video from the eruption shows lava shooting up into the sky and, curiously, lightning strikes inside the crater of the volcano itself. It fully looks like something from the final scene of Avengers Endgame. And yes, I've stuck a link to video of it in today's episode notes. The eruption was so big that there were concerns that a tsunami may be triggered by volcanic rock crashing into the ocean around the volcano. Can you even imagine that? Happily, there were no reports of either a tsunami or any injuries, as luckily scientists had been watching the volcano carefully in the weeks before its eruption and were able to predict it and evacuate people accordingly. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes to a diagram showing a cross-section of planet Earth, as well as a link to one of the most popular Squiz Kids shortcuts we've ever made on volcanoes and earthquakes, explaining how and why they happen. You're very welcome.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Seattle, on the west coast of the United States, where 4 zebras escaped the trailer they were travelling in and started running all over a small town. Locals couldn't believe their eyes when the zebras came trotting down the main street of the small town of North Bend, past a cafe filled with people having lunch, and on into people's backyards. A couple of rodeo experts swung into action to help round up the escapees, who included a baby zebra who was distressed to be separated from its mum. I just hope they all had the good sense when they were crossing the road to use the zebra crossing. Uh-oh, I knew that would set off the dad joke alarm.
Sport time.
If you're a lover of sport, you've probably heard the expression local derby, used by commentators. It's a phrase used to describe a sporting contest in which both teams come from the same city or the same part of a city. And that's exactly what's happening in the AFL this weekend, with no fewer than 4 local derbies, leaving fans salivating in anticipation. First up will be tonight's South Australian local derby, when Port Adelaide takes on Adelaide. Then, tomorrow night, it will be Victoria's turn, with long-time rivals and Melbourne neighbours Carlton and Collingwood going head-to-head. Before Saturday's local derby in New South Wales sees the 2 Sydney teams, the Swans and the Giants, tackle one another. And then, rounding it all out on Sunday, will be a Queensland local derby when the Brisbane Lions take on the Gold Coast Suns. Because there's nothing like a little bit of neighbourly competition. May the best teams win.
News hounds.
Every Thursday, Squizzy the Newshound pops his head into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he's sniffed out on the internet. And this week, his nose is twitching after stumbling upon an incredible Facebook post showing a photo of a train on a track clinging to a cliff face. It's an incredible photo, and I've stuck a link to it in today's episode notes. The caption on the post suggested that it was a new train line in Scotland, and the photo looked so real that more than 49,000 people shared it with their own Facebook friends, meaning that many hundreds of thousands of people would have seen it. Only problem was, the photo was a fake. No such train line exists, and fact checkers soon established that the photo had been created by AI, or artificial intelligence. But, unfortunately, not until after almost 50,000 people thought it was real. And there's a good chance someone you know, maybe one of the adults in your life, was among the people who fell for the fake. Which is why you need to tell them to do as Squizzy always says, and that is to stop, think, and check before believing everything you see online. And also why more than 2,000 classrooms around the country have signed up to do Newshounds, our free media literacy course for primary school kids, which, we're excited to say, is undergoing improvements, and a new, more streamlined version will be rolled out soon. Check it all out at squizkids.com.au.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. In which nearby country has a volcano erupted this week? Yes, that's right, it's in Indonesia. Question number 2. How many zebras escaped from the trailer in which they were being transported in Seattle this week? That's right, there were 4 escapees. Question number 3. Name one of the 4 local derby AFL matches that we talked about in today's podcast. Well done if you said either Adelaide and Port Adelaide, Collingwood and Carlton, the Swans versus the Giants, or the Lions and the Suns.
Shout outs.
It's May the 2nd. Whip out your wands and throw on your invisibility cloaks, people, for today is International Harry Potter Day. A special day to celebrate the wonderful, magical world of Hogwarts created by author J.K. Rowling. It's also a special day for the following Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Samar from Geebung, Henry from Willunga, Jake from Gulgong, and Aaron and Isabel from Vermont South. And a belated birthday shout-out goes to Hugh from Northmead. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 3F with Ms Fulton at Epping West Public School, Class 6 Red with Mr Lawler at Mater Dei Primary Catholic Primary School in Wagga Wagga, Class C3 with Ms Gandaputra at Chatswood Public School, Class 2-3 Yellow with Miss Caroso at Our Lady Queen of Peace Primary in Greystanes, Class 5-6S with Mr Sidoni at Wollongong West Public, Class 3-4D with Ms Dahl at Shoal Bay Public School, and finally to homeschoolers Jethro and Zoe from the Bungadoo region near Bundaberg. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with our Kids versus Adults Weekly News Quiz, where you get to test who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. And don't forget, next Tuesday, we'll have our special Squiz Kids Q&A with Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers as he prepares to present the federal budget. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.